Hello, my name is Andy Wand and welcome to the new podcast, The Old Man and the CV. A little bit of background for you first. I've been working for nearly 40 years and I've been a sales guy for more or less all of that time. I've sold advertising space on local newspapers and B2B magazines, technology, data analysis, brand measurement, digital media, MarTech, and software as a service. And I've launched 3 of my own companies too. I've spent most of my career writing, whether that's adverts, media packs, RFP proposal responses, content marketing, or even B2B magazines and websites. I've even written a novel and a board game. However, unfortunately, last summer, I was made redundant due to a go-to-market strategy restructure out of the US. And yes, because of my age coinciding with a marketplace tech vendor meltdown, I have found the process of finding a new role extremely frustrating. I know that several of my connections that I've made on LinkedIn since 2006 have faced similar challenges. Hence the idea for this podcast to offer some advice, support, and guidance to those who are similarly frustrated. So why the old man and the CV? Old man and a CV. But obviously a pun on the Hemingway novella, where the main theme of the story clearly resonates. Ergo, Hemingway makes the point that being determined and never giving up shows what kind of human being one is. He reflects on the old man's experience as an inspiration for living one's own life and dealing with its problems. But this podcast isn't just for men, obviously. So each episode will be 10 minutes. And no, this isn't a pseudo time-limited TED Talk style podcast. It's because it takes 10 minutes or so to make a cup of tea. So you can quickly listen, whether you're in the office, at home, or even walking to the coffee shop at the station. Every week, a new episode will be released for the age 50 plus professionals who've experienced the trials, tribulations, and frustrations of finding a new role after redundancy, maybe looking for a midlife career change, maybe having a transitional promotion during that time, or rejoining the workplace, maybe after a health issue, and coming across the silent barrier that is age discrimination. Age is a protected status, and I've noticed something quite worrying in the various and many company recruitment ads that I've seen recently. Somewhere in the application process, the company will state that they are culturally diverse and welcoming to all, irrespective of race, gender, disability, and so on. And I know that some of these roles come out of the US, but they have the same protected statuses there too. And I should know, I must have completed a dozen or so e-learning courses on diversity, normally whilst being chased by HR when you're trying to close a quarter. But one thing that I had noticed is that age as a status is only mentioned specifically alongside race, religion, etc. in only about a quarter of these diversity statements. A quarter. To me, that means 3/4 of companies are deliberately or maybe unknowingly, unconsciously being age discriminatory. Now, if you stumbled across this podcast by accident and thinking, what? Privileged, white, middle-class, middle-aged male talking about discrimination? Oh, the irony. Well, perhaps you're right, but this podcast is open to all. The aim is to help support, educate and inform, and we'll be speaking with a wide selection of people with different backgrounds and skills for guidance, advice and everyday tips to succeed so that this colossal reservoir of talent, knowledge and experience doesn't go to waste. We have a great lineup of guests scheduled over the next dozen or so episodes, including various execs talking about the benefits that the 50 plus colleagues bring, similar sufferers and what they've done to change things, a performance behavioralist, a skills trainer. We'll be getting the HR talent acquisition perspective on what they're looking for, people that have transitioned, leveraging existing skill sets. We are even hopefully speaking to some sportsmen and women. As I see a lot of similarities between elite sport and business, charities, agencies, others that can help, and maybe even a politician or two. And what about someone who's shown incredible resilience in difficult circumstances, who really has shown the benefits of digging out blind? And Conscious of looking after ourselves whilst we manage all of this, we'll be inviting a well-being expert on and even an osteopath to help you stretch out that tense body after you've been scrunched over a laptop. After that, in the best tradition of market research, we'll see what falls out. So you've got a lot to look forward to. So make sure that you subscribe now for free so that you don't miss out. We do have a current crisis for the 50+ generation, which I'm sure many of you saw reported recently. And when the government actually admits that this particular problem is a crisis, then it really is a crisis with a magnificent entrance hall carpeted throughout and with an enormous sign on a roof saying this is a large crisis. So apologies to Ben Elton and Richard Curtis, but I'm just testing your age there. The Old Man and the CV podcast was born out of my own frustrations of dealing with people who think that anyone over 30 doesn't get tech and isn't willing to learn new stuff. Well, as I remind my now grown-up children, you may think you're clever with your lols and your ruffles and your emojis, but it was our generation on MSN Messenger that was using those in messages over 20 years ago. Also, from a personal point of view, in the last couple of years, I've not only launched this podcast, but I also launched a YouTube channel during lockdown for frustrated DIYers. And after 20 years of Microsoft Windows, I learned how to use a Mac. Yeah, by choice. So we're not afraid of technology. We welcome it. And also those people who can't understand how grey hair and gravitas can actually help close deals. I've personally been at an exec table where they bought from me because they didn't trust the 30-year-old whippersnapper from another vendor. Experience that comes with age matters, and insidiously over the last few years, it's been seen as a bad thing. Well, it's not. It's great and it's invaluable and it should be treasured. This is a podcast that's aimed at holding out a supportive hand, offering a kind word to the thousands of those that are frustrated that their lifetime of skills, experience and knowledge are not being leveraged to create value for an organisation and or society because they've reached a certain age. Those that are dealing with being in the sandwich generation of being possibly responsible for growing up kids and ageing parents at the same time. And those that feel like screaming, stop using an AI bot and actually talk to me to find out whether I can add value for you at their laptop on a daily basis as they apply for yet another job. For those listeners who remember my e-cast a few years ago, then you'll know that the superlative content was always followed by a light-hearted piece at the end, usually a joke. So we will try and do our best to end every episode with a dad joke. I also believe in making someone smile and learning something new every day. So we'll also include some episodes on anything interesting that will make you think, entertain you, give you something to talk about, not just the interviews, and so on. I may even drop in a word of the week to see how many of you can use it in meetings or an interview or just a casual conversation, and you'll have to let me know. If you wish to contribute, you have a story to tell, or even want to sponsor the podcast, please message me at andy@23magic.co.uk. 23 is the number, not a word, by the way. So it's andy@23magic.co.uk. You can also message me on LinkedIn. If we're not already connected, just search Andy Wand. There's only 3 of us on LinkedIn, and I'm not the Scottish lecturer or the product manager in the US. If you're really lazy, then just search Andy Magic Wand, and it will just be me that you find. On Twitter, you can follow @oldmanandthecv, no the at the start, or search by andy@23magic.co.uk. Please remember that if you like and share this with your connections across your social media channels like LinkedIn, Twitter, Insta, TikTok, etc., then we can have an immediate reach of over 2 million people. Even if they're not in the same boat now, they may be later. And it could be educational and informative for them to learn something about this problem. 2 million people. That's an awful lot of people that you could help by sharing. So be kind and share. And of course, subscribe now for free. Thank you. So be kind and stay positive, Santiago amigos. Until the next time. Couple of credits before we go. Music idents are by Abigail Wong on behalf of Abby Music, and this is an Almost Pro production for 23 Magic, copyright 2023. Thank you. See you next time.